The hum of the life support system was the only sound. Days blurred together, marked only by orbital cycles. Dr. Eleanor Vance, alone on the International Space Station, ran another system check. Everything normal. She gazed at the Earth, a blue and green jewel against the black velvet of space. Home. A pang of loneliness echoed through her. Eleanor continued her observations, logging data on solar flares. The sun, a boiling sea of fire, dominated her view. Her instruments picked up a slight anomaly in the solar wind, a negligible fluctuation, easily dismissed. Yet something about it tugged at her scientist's intuition. The next day, the anomaly persisted. The solar wind readings were off the charts, far beyond any normal fluctuation. Eleanor recalibrated her instruments, suspecting an equipment malfunction. The results were the same. A cold fear started to creep into her heart. This was not normal. She contacted Mission Control. "Houston, be advised, I'm getting strange readings on the solar wind. Static. Houston, do you copy?" Silence. Eleanor tried again and again, but only static answered. The silence was deafening. What was happening? Days turned into an agonizing wait. The solar wind readings became increasingly erratic. Then, the impossible happened. The sun, her constant companion, started to expand. It was a slow, inexorable process but clearly visible. Eleanor watched in horror as the star at the heart of her solar system began to die. It was a textbook case of a star-going supernova. The knowledge did little to ease her terror. The Earth, her home, everyone she had ever known, would be incinerated in the unimaginable heat. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. Eleanor's mind raced as she tried to think of a solution. She couldn't just sit and wait for the end. She had to do something, anything, to try and save her home. She began to work tirelessly, analyzing data, running simulations, and sending out distress signals. The days turned into nights, and the nights into days, but she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. The fate of the Earth depended on her. Every beep of the computer, every flicker of the monitor was a lifeline she clung to. She scoured through archives, looking for any precedent, any clue that might offer a sliver of hope. Her eyes were bloodshot, her fingers trembling, but her resolve was unyielding. With each passing hour, the weight of her responsibility grew heavier. Yet, amidst the chaos, a faint glimmer of a plan began to take form. It was risky, and the chances of success were slim, but it was the only shot they had. She prepared herself for one final push, knowing that failure was not an option. Her heart pounded as she initiated the sequence, sending out one last desperate plea into the void. Would anyone hear it? Would it make a difference? Only time would tell. But for now, all she could do was wait and hope that her efforts had not been in vain. As the days passed, Eleanor's hope began to wane. The sun continued to expand and her efforts seemed futile. She was running out of time and options, but then, a breakthrough, a faint signal from a distant spacecraft. It was a long shot, but it was something. Her heart raced as she quickly responded, hoping against hope that someone out there could help. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Eleanor from the ISS. Can anyone hear me?" Her voice trembled as she sent the message. Seconds turned into agonizing minutes, each moment stretching into an eternity. The silence was deafening, but she refused to give in to despair. Then a crackle. A voice. "This is Captain Malik of the Starfinder. We received your distress signal. What is your situation?" Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. Relief and urgency mingled as she explained the dire circumstances. The sun's expansion, the impending doom, the desperate need for a solution. Captain Malik listened intently, his voice steady and reassuring. "We're on our way, Eleanor. Hold on. We're bringing everything we've got." For the first time in days, Eleanor felt a flicker of hope. She wasn't alone. Help was on the way. The fate of Earth still hung in the balance, but now, there was a chance. A glimmer of hope amidst the vast, cold expanse of space. She knew the battle was far from over, but with allies by her side, the weight on her shoulders felt a little lighter. The journey ahead was uncertain, but for now, she clung to the promise of salvation, daring to believe that they might just make it through the darkness. The signal grew stronger, and soon, Eleanor was in contact with another astronaut. It was Captain Malik, steadfast and resolute, his voice cutting through the void like a beacon of hope. "Eleanor, we've analyzed your data. We've got a plan, but it's risky," he said. Eleanor's heart pounded as she listened. They shared their data and worked together, racing against time. Diagrams and calculations flashed across their screens, their minds working in unison. The weight of the world, quite literally, rested on their shoulders. Their plan was audacious, a risky maneuver involving the Starfinder's advanced propulsion systems. It was a last-ditch effort to alter the sun's trajectory to buy Earth a few precious moments. "If we succeed, we might just be able to stabilize the sun temporarily," Malik explained. "It's a long shot, but it's all we've got." Eleanor's fingers flew over the controls, her mind laser-focused. This was their last chance, a desperate gamble against the inevitable. "I'm ready," she replied, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions within. "Let's do this." As they synchronized their efforts, a sense of unity and purpose filled the vast emptiness of space. Two astronauts bound by fate, fighting for the survival of their world. There was no room for error. Every second counted. With a deep breath, Eleanor initiated the sequence. The Starfinder roared to life, its engines blazing with a fierce determination. The maneuver began, the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. In that moment, amidst the cold, unforgiving cosmos, there was a glimmer of hope. They had taken their last best shot. Now, all they could do was wait and pray that their combined efforts would be enough to stave off the apocalypse. The silence of space enveloped them once more, but this time, it was filled with a shared resolve. Together they had dared to defy the odds. Now they braced themselves for the outcome, clinging to the fragile hope that their alliance might just save the world. Eleanor was utterly alone, a silent witness to the end of everything. The vibrant blue of Earth was now tinged with the red of the expanding sun. Tears streamed down her face, a useless rebellion against the inevitable. She was a lone astronaut, adrift in a dying solar system, carrying the heavy burden of a terrible secret. The end was close. Eleanor closed her eyes, the image of the blue planet, her home, forever seared into her memory. The last thing she saw was the blinding light of the approaching supernova, a silent, merciless harbinger of oblivion.